and welcome to another episode of Point of More Returns. With me, we have I'm your gracious host, the Masked Investor. And with me, we have Welfare. Welfare, how are you today? How is life in real estate today?
Pretty good, man. Can't complain. How are you? How are things your way?
Things are good. Things are really good. Deal is getting towards the final stages, and we've got some interesting news that's happening. We're not the only ones that are doing deals, are we, Welfare?
Nope. It's a lot going on in the market today.
Yeah, it's a lot going on indeed. Today we wanted to uh, kind of go off a little off the beaten path, return to some of our roots, as per se, but just wanted to dissect an interesting few tidbits that came across the desk here recently. Um, Today we're going to dig into uh, how fried chicken is now seem to suddenly become in favor with Wall Street. Now, if you're here in the South, you may be familiar with a staple called Bojangles restaurant. Um, well, fair. I don't know about you. I know I've been there a few times. How about yourself?
Oh yeah, I definitely used to eat there. When I was a kid, I would eat there like maybe once or twice a year. We would go out of town and it would be a restaurant.
Hmm.
So that it's a little bit nostalgic.
Yeah, nostalgic indeed. And I was curious what this popped across the desk. I mean, I've seen Bojangles. I haven't really been in the restaurant in quite a while. I see them sometimes as I travel across the South. Never really inclined to stop in lately, but um, what happened is Bojangles was recently acquired for $1.5 billion, triple what it was sold for in 2019. So just in 6 years, the investment tripled in value, and the operators were able to get out. Um, so it was taken private in 2019 for about 590 million by a consortium of Durational Capital Management and TJC. Today, they're being picked up for $1.5 billion. Meanwhile, you got other chicken chains like Dave's Hot Chicken, Wingstop that are booming. So chicken right now is a really high category, up 9%, and fast casual chicken chains are up 24%. So it's a pretty big trend. Restaurant M&A is starting to pick up. We've seen some other brands we've talked about recently, with Red Lobster being picked up out of Duress and some other firms. So it seems like restaurant M&A is in favor and the way to go, which, as you have been on record for here myself, I don't do any restaurant deals, but I can certainly see after pulling back the curtain on this one why it was attractive. So first and foremost, I mean, Welfare, what do you think? I mean, why do you think chicken's getting all this love all of a sudden?
Yeah, man. I it is interesting. I will say that if we're talking in the light of chicken restaurants versus like burger chains, I have a couple of theories that we can kind of bounce ideas back and forth. But as people become more health conscious, they may pull back from eating red meat and just health concerns, being health conscientious. Chicken, if you still want protein in the traditional term, um, chicken can be a great alternative to red meat. So that could be one. So diet trends, like overall, like health related, health perception, um, like grilled options or baked options, and just in general, with the influx of what I'm seeing with local burger chains too, mom and pa's coming into local markets and dominating those areas, is like there might large investors might feel like there's market saturation with burger chains. So those are just two. But what are you seeing? Like, what do you think the catalyst is for all the interest of chicken restaurants?
Yeah. So, you know, one, the chicken menu is really simple, right? You walk in, you can order uh, a meal of chicken, either a meal or a chicken sandwich. It's either grilled or fried, right? So it's not really a complex operation. Keep things really simple, and that allows you to really forecast with some degree in terms of like performance. And margins are high. You got items like the fries, sauces, sweet tea that you can mark up and get a really good profit margin on. And tea is really it's just cheap, right? You got bag of tea, some sugar and water, and you can charge $2 for that, right? And it it's really cost you maybe 5 cents to make it. So brands also, people, like you said, we know Bojangles here in the South. I'm sure that loyalty, there's a group of customers who go there for breakfast or lunch pretty frequently, pretty regularly. So those repeat visitors were pretty strong. And then also, also with red franchises, right? I mean, you just mentioned Bojangles from your childhood. That shows durability, that the company's been around for that long. Not to date you or anything, you're still a young man, but
Nah, nah, it's all good. I got a little. I'm getting a little long in the tooth, right?
but for it to have sustainability to last through the years, I mean, we've seen restaurants come and go all the time, right? And so for them to have staying power to last decades, definitely means something. So I'm sure whoever looks to acquire it will be acquiring an asset, because when you pull back the skin, I mean, you got to look there. There's some things going forward. There's some things that do give you pause, like one, like right saturation, right? I mean, you got the chicken category is pretty crowded. You got Chick-fil-A, Popeyes, Wingstop, Raising Cane's, Dave's Hot Chicken, Bojangles, your local wing spot, Chinese wing spot. Um,
Yep.
Even fast food places are selling chicken. So there's only so much squeeze that you're going to get out of the chicken category. So I don't think it's a growth market per se where you're acquiring new customers, like people who never have eaten chicken before, right? So it's more just you're either stealing market share from somebody, or you're just getting customers who they go, look, I like Wingstop today. All right, I'm tired of Wingstop. Let's try the Cajun from Bojangles. And I think it's some of that too, just kind of having some diversification on the market. I mean, what about yourself? I mean, when you go out and you're looking, let's say if you were looking to go get some chicken tonight, is that something that comes into consideration for you? Like, you just have an inkling for it, or you just drive by and see, or you just kind of try the latest? Do you have a favorite go-to spot?
That's so funny, man. So yeah, I already mentioned like a lot of Bojangles, Popeyes, Chick-fil-A from childhood. I don't eat Bojangles, Popeyes, like just a traditional like fried chicken bone in with like the two sides as a meal as much anymore.
Mhm.
But when I do eat like fried chicken, it's probably like a chicken sandwich, right? So that's probably my go-to. But you said something a second ago that I found really interesting that I want to highlight, which is these large private equity firms that are coming in and um, buying these like chicken chains. Like the difference between Dave's Hot Chicken and Bojangles, I think it's a completely different strategy. And you can challenge me and tell me if you think I'm wrong. But Dave's Hot Chicken, I would look at them as they're still potentially in growth mode, right? They're in a different place in terms of like the life cycle of a business. Whereas to your point, I don't even know how many years Bojangles has been around, but I know 30 plus years, right? I know that just from my own experience. So the multiple, we can talk about the multiples and the multiples you're willing to pay for a growth company versus a more mature company. Or are you just looking at, hey, I can just take over market share, or maybe this will be a complement to another restaurant in my portfolio and we have some type of synergies that we can build upon? Or is it just I really just like the stability of the cash flow so I can take that cash and go invest in something else? It's just so many different reasons of why one PE firm might opt for Dave's Hot Chicken versus another one. It might make more sense for them to have Bojangles in their portfolio.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, that's a good point, right? So just are you buying predictable cash flows or are you buying growth, right? So you got to tell the two stories. It's kind of like, am I buying treasury security for that safety, or am I going to go out and buy the growth story stock, that Tesla that is projected to come out with driverless cars? And yeah, I guess, for the larger, broader your portfolio kind of strategy, whatever your fund is based around, it would have to make sense, right? But also, it's just acquiring a deal at the right price, right? There's, at the end of the day, they're trying to get a return for their investors. I'm sure with Bojangles, I'm not sure what the structure of when they took a debt private for $590 million. I imagine some of that debt still hanging around, but with it being retired, a lot of it's probably been paid down. Hopefully, it's not like in workout or something like that, which I doubt it would be if it was a $1.5 billion deal. But to pay that down and get a nice flip from that. I mean, even if you're talking $1 billion in profit, right? Even if you still had all the debt, you had to pay it off, right? You still almost got $1 billion that you'd walk away with, just cash money. That's just a nice, not bad shot. Not bad at all. And I think even at 1.5 billion, I think it's still a good buy because, I mean, let's look at the valuations over there, which brings me to the next part. Okay, Bojangles tripled in 5 years, right? So do we think it's going to triple again in the next 5 years? Probably not, right? But there is still a lot of runway to go if they take it from the south and take it nationwide. I don't know if Bojangles works in California. I don't know if it works in the Midwest. I imagine it would. I mean, there's in the Midwest they do have chicken chains, and in LA they've got Roscoe's. So I'm sure there's some South expatriates out there who might appreciate some home cooking from back home. I'm sure that you could maybe find some ways to make it work if you were to expand it. So that's just to say, as long as you're not buying at a high multiple, I think it works. You're just buying a story.
Yeah, that's an excellent point you're making in terms of, yeah, it tripled in what you said, 3 years. Will
Yeah.
it triple again? Yeah, probably not. Just based on large numbers, what are the chances? But I will say the real question is, what were they doing differently to triple in 3 years? I would assume some type of CapEx reinvestment in the actual chain, reinvestment in employees, staff, and some type of expansion plan. That's what I would assume without doing any type of research, right? They might have to do a bunch of remodels on update their marketing, update the brand, I don't know if they franchise or not, but get local involvement in the community to garner people to want to go back into the restaurants locally, right? Like that type of thing, local marketing. So maybe I mean, not maybe, I'm sure they have a plan when you spend that much money. I'm sure they have a plan of how they're gonna get a return on their funds, right? But yeah, it's not likely that they're gonna 3x their investment.
Yeah, to 3x it, but I'm sure you could print 20%. I'm sure you could get 20% over a harvest period if you were to buy it, hold it for a few years. You definitely, if you're doing 2 and 20 as your model, based on what I'm seeing here, and I haven't seen the financials up close, but the story supports that you could. There's something here. And I mean, lessons I guess you got to take away for a smaller buyer if you're looking to grow a restaurant or you're looking to acquire a restaurant. So, kind of just the last takeaways is loyalty matters, right? So, if you're looking for a brand that has, you know, a loyal following, right? People come in regularly, support it, and then to the tune where it can stick around for 30 years. That's a loyal following. Keep it simple. Simplicity drives profits. Um, the Apple is key for that, right? Of what making things simple so people can take advantage of it. Warren Buffett as well, and then one of our mentors used to say, right, so simple a monkey could run it,
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh yeah. I know that one.
And then trends matter. Timing definitely. Just chicken is hot right now, so strike when the iron's hot. So it makes sense to do that. And then, definitely franchise models again, Shreks for the win. So I think it's honestly, my last take, is this smart investing or just fear of missing out on a trend? Kind of both, right? I mean, the story looks good. And if you were looking like, man, if you're doing restaurant investing and you wanted to get some exposure, chicken is definitely a category you want to be in. And so I would, you know, sure someone would want to get some exposure in this while the market's hot and the trends are definitely pointing in that way with food prices rising. So consumers will probably migrate to chicken since it's a cheaper protein source. And the exits kind of take care of themselves when the fundamentals are right. So, all right, next up, we want to talk about another story that has also kind of captured our attention here. Um, we've been noticing a trend across like downtowns being revitalized. And if you've ever visited, I was in Atlanta not too long ago, driving through downtown. There's this big old hole in the middle of downtown Atlanta. And we're just like, man, what is going on? And as you know, a lot of stuff is being revitalized or just a lot of investments being put into different cities. Real estate's being turned upside down and around and around. And this was an announcement from a few months back, but we thought it was pretty pertinent to talk about. Um, Live Nation's investing $5 billion into a mixed-use mega project uh, in Atlanta, next to the Hawks Arena and Mercedes-Benz Stadium. A lot of it is that it's centered around the Centennial Yards project that's growing there in Atlanta, spearheaded by Tony Ressler and his brother Richard Ressler, developing it. And the addition of the concert venue will be a big draw, especially when it opens in 2027. Um, the venue is going to be one of the largest indoor theaters for Live Nation, and it falls on the wheels of the World Cup that's coming to Atlanta. They're taking advantage to do it as a $1.9 billion tax incentive package as part of more than $5 billion project. And developers are eyeing this asset class. I mean, Atlanta, like a lot of cities, was really negatively impacted by the COVID downturn where a lot of commercial office space went empty. And so it's good to see developers taking advantage and still revitalizing these downtowns. But I guess the larger question we wanted to pose to you, Welfare, is what happens to kind of the broader area around that? Is, you as an investor, this is something that you look at and say, man, I want to go snap at some properties in the area? Or is this something like, oh man, it's just is going to be a headache? What's your immediate reaction to that?
Yeah, not to make it all about me, but my immediate reaction was I'm sick because I had a property that was half a block over. So I'm just thinking about what that appreciation will be when this thing gets completed. But in all seriousness, yeah, that might be some for a small investor. There might be some buying opportunities around in the area potentially for people that may be unaware or not paying close attention to what's happening. But I think it's great. I think it serves a bunch of purposes, right? So it's great revitalization for the city. I think it's something that is needed and can be utilized, and it just provides another offering in like a major metropolitan city that people are going to clamor towards. The thing that I'll pose to you, flip back, is you're asking about the investment opportunities, but it's sort of, I think Atlanta is probably okay in terms of this working out, but I'm thinking about other cities where Live Nation go try to make this same play where it's live, eat, work, and then like that whole entertainment piece with a football team, a basketball team, entertainment complex, and then restaurants and the sort. It's almost, I think, boom or bust when in the sense of, well, if one of the teams goes down or they lose interest in like whatever sport or whatever team that is, then what happens to the rest of it? Because it's all like a codependency, I feel like. So it'll turn into a feast or famine. And then what happens when it's failed or like a team pulls out like St. Louis and then they move to a different city or what happens then? Like I'm just thinking about that. It's like that's the flip side of it from the opportunity. Like there are still risks involved. And so what do you think of that?
Well, you mean in terms of the risk with the project itself, or?
Not the project itself, but just sort of like catching the wave of, okay, oh, this is picking up speed. Like, let me go look for opportunities. But more than likely, I mean, I don't want to say too big to fail because too big to fail end up being not true. But I think a city like Atlanta is probably like absolved from it just because from what I know, the sports teams thrive in Atlanta, but for some other cities where they would try to do the same exact thing, it's just I don't know if it's always going to work as well, depending on what market they're in.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about the project viability itself of if they go into other markets with the
Yeah,
same type of concept and they don't have the economic engine of the sports teams driving it.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, with venues like this, I would, I don't think see it failing in that context because, like McDonald's, I mean, they do these assessments and things like that for traffic and they get economic incentives. So that also drives it and stuff like that. So I don't think itself is really going to fail um, on that merit. And I think, what really would drive the kind of ultimate decision is like the impact on the community, broader community at large. Like, does this drive more businesses to come here, make it more attractive for people to do business here or come visit and do tourism? Those are probably more tantamount than the actual profit for the project because, the city's going to supplement and subsidize it for the first couple of years at least, especially getting it up off the ground and probably getting a bargain deal to get the stadium. But I guess the other question I want to see from an investor's perspective is, I mean, are there any risk like investing in real estate near a major stadium project like this? I mean, is it does it cause insurance values to kind of go different left for you, or is there difficulties in getting a profitable you know or renter? Do people want to rent a home near something like that? I mean, I understand apartments, but maybe, if you bought like a real estate house, is it harder to get tenants because they're worried about the traffic? What's kind of been the thoughts on that?
yeah. That's a fair question. I will say there are probably some people that would uh, they may opt to rent elsewhere. Oh, it's too many people, it's too much traffic. It's so that could be a deterrent. But for the most part, all the things you said are gonna be more on the upside. I
Hmm.
feel in terms of valuation, in terms of density, more eyes to see the property, be near the property, more opportunities for work, more opportunities for restaurants, things to do, like all items that people are going to be looking for when they pick somewhere to live.
Okay.
Um, yeah, insurance may increase, or there might be more incidents because there's more people, like whether it be crime or accidents or whatever it is. But yeah, for the most part, it's upside in my mind, and I already alluded to it. The biggest risk is anchoring to something so important and it's stimulating so much of the economy is like that's where all the growth comes from. And then if something goes bad, then you're kind of beholden to hey, I have this property to this complex that went belly up or didn't, it's an eyesore and didn't garner as much attention as we thought it would, type of thing.
Hmm. Yeah, agreed. Now, the thing that really interests me about this, though, is the concept of mixed use real estate anchored by sports, right? Because typically, mixed use real estate's being anchored by retailers, right? That was the trend over a decade ago. And now I guess that's fallen out of favor due to people shifting and migrating online. I saw the report today that 44.8% of retail purchases were brought online, and well, no, that's viewing. I'm sorry. Well, most of the real estate purchases were, retail purchases are being purchased online. So for them to find a new anchor kind of tenant to anchor these projects around and center it around sports, which, you know, there's the same crutch that, live TV fell upon, right? Was sports because streaming packages were just eroding because people can watch movies anytime, anywhere. So the only thing that would keep your subscription to live TV was sports. And so now they're doing this kind of mix with anchoring these to sports. What do you think about the mix itself, though? I mean, do you think that the mix going to be residential, retail, entertainment, and like commercial? Um, just what do you think is going to be like the mix? Do you think a good mix would be like 60 retail, 20, no, 60% of it's entertainment, 40% retail, or what's your thought on that to be the right mix to?
Yeah, man. I mean, you already called it. It's like that has been the trend, and it's going to continue to be the trend because the developers just want to build something that they know is going to work. At the end of the day, they want to be able to build it, know they're going to get their return, and get out of it, get it sold, or either be able to hold on to it and uh, get the rents from it, however they're going to like develop it, right? So
Mhm.
it the perfect mix, I don't know. I don't know enough to say what I think the perfect mix, like in terms of percentages, but I do agree with you. It fell out of favor 10, 15 years ago. This was definitely the play in terms of anchoring to the retailers. And now that we see that that's not working for a myriad of reasons, they're like, okay, well, sports, but it's just to make the argument. This is my hot take. It's like, well, that could fall out of favor in the next 10 to 15 years too, where, hey, the way these ticket prices keep going up, and not to pick on like the NBA or NFL or anything like that, but if people deem the games not exciting anymore, then they're gonna stop watching. They're gonna stop wanting to go to the games if they keep increasing the prices at the concession stands, and it's not gonna be as profitable. So it's all a house of cards in that way.
Mhm.
And I wouldn't, if I'm a developer, I wouldn't, and maybe they're so large that they're okay to like build at that level and take the risk of it. But I wouldn't over index on only building around sports complexes. I wouldn't do that. If I
Mhm.
was a major developer, that would be part of my bag, like my portfolio. But there's no way I would anchor to just I only do this. There's no way I would do that.
Yeah, and that's something I was thinking too. Like if I was a developer, I would, and maybe this is something you do as an investor yourself is, I would be anchoring towards like esports or something like that. I mean, I just noticed I go around people's kids, my uncle, my niece, my nephew, my girlfriend's niece and nephews, other friends' children, and they all have tablets and they're all playing Roblox or something, some variation like that. And I just look at that, and then you drive around the neighborhood, you don't see, like we used to, when we were growing up, the kids were outside playing sports, and now you don't see that so much anymore. So I wonder in the future what that bodes long term. And I just think that maybe, like you were saying, anchoring around the sports, you already got ratings are down for the NBA and some other sports products as well. The trend doesn't bode well with so much competition and so much at war for viewers, viewing habits and activities. I mean, for right now, I think it'll be fine, but 10 years out, if this starts, causing some red ink to flow, I wouldn't be surprised. So we will see, though. I imagine the projections are baking in the ability to raise ticket prices and not drop them, though. So, all right. Well, we
Well
will
said.
stop here. We thank you guys for joining another episode of Point of More Returns. We will look forward to talking to you next time. Bye.